This singer had an important role in Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff's Philly sound popularity. In his greatest performances, this vocalist blended jazz skill with rhythm and blues passion. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Billy Paul. Before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push the notification bell to be sure you won't miss on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born Billy Paul Williams in North Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on December 1st, 1934. His interest in music began at an early age when he listened to his family's music collection. Paul made his first radio transmission at the age of 11 in 1945. At the age of 11, he began his singing career on local radio station WPN, which was then owned by the Philadelphia Bulletin newspaper. He received professional voice instruction at West Philadelphia Music School and the Granoff School of Music. Paul's fame soared and he began to appear in clubs and on college campuses around the nation. He changed his name from Paul Williams to Billy Paul to prevent confusion with other musicians, including lyricist Paul Williams and saxophonist Paul Huckleberry Williams. By the age of 16, he was performing with saxophonist Charlie Parker at Philadelphia's Club Harlem.
Been singing since I was 8 years old, and Charlie Parker discovered me. I turned professional at 16. I sang with Charlie Parker at 16. I sang with John Coltrane because I'm basically a jazz singer. I did my first 45 record when I was going to Simon Gratz High School. I associated with Sammy Davis. He did a lot for me. Him and Frank Sinatra made sure I got on the Mike Douglas show. I sang with Paul Whiteman in Philadelphia.
In 1952, he came to New York City and entered Jubilee Records recording studio. That April, Paul released his debut single, Why Am I? Well, That's Why I Dream as the B-side. Billboard praised the tunes, describing Why Am I as expressive warbling of a moody ballad by the label's new 16-year-old chanter, and That's Why I Dream as organ and piano lend the singer a hand in this slow-paced etching of a romantic number. In June 1952, Paul issued his second single, You Didn't Know. Billboard praised You Didn't Know. Billy Paul, a new young vocalist, makes a solid debut on the label with a good rendition of a weeper ballad that should pick up spins and plays. A few weeks later, Jubilee placed an advertisement in Billboard to promote its musicians ahead of the National Association of Music Merchants annual show. Jubilee promoted Paul's current track, stating, He's new, he's hot, despite Jubilee's attempts. None of the young singer's songs charted. Paul's career took an unexpected turn when he was recruited into the military. Paul worked with Elvis Presley and other artists in post-war Germany. Paul joined the 7th Army Band while serving in the military. Paul and the other members of the 7th Army Band, including Don Ellis, Leo Wright, and Ron Anthony, used their time and duty to advance their musical careers, which they knew would continue once they returned to civilian life. Paul also did some boxing in the Army, a sport he grew up playing. After being discharged, Paul established a jazz trio with hard bop pianist Sam Dockery and bassist Buster Williams. In 1959, he signed with the New Dawn record label and released the single, Ebony Woman.
She wished
Back with the song You'll Go to Hell.
but you're chillin', wrong doing willin', 'cause you know damn well.
And Paul recorded Small Hotel in 1960.
Good night, sleep well.
Which was accompanied by I'm Always a Brother. None of these songs hit, but Paul eventually revived and re-recorded Ebony Woman and Small Hotel. Paul briefly filled in for one of the Blue Notes injured members, Harold Melvin. Paul remembered, Well, I didn't want to dance, so Harold Melvin fired me. In 1967, Billy Paul married Blanche Williams, a production manager. They have 2 children. The following year, Paul signed with Gamble and Huff. The Gamble label released Paul's debut album, Feeling Good, at the Cadillac Club in 1968. It was a studio album that attempted to recreate the feel of Paul's live club performances, with the majority of the songs being jazz covers of songs popularized by others. This song, Bluesette, and the album both failed to chart, and the album was eventually re-released in 1973. Paul's second album, Ebony Woman, issued in 1970, was a more commercial release on Gamble and Huff's Neptune label. Paul recorded a fresh version of his 1959 hit and made it the title tune. Gamble and Huff were fully in charge of the production. Merging jazz and soul, the album enjoyed minor success, peaking at number 12 on the Billboard Soul list and number 183 on the pop chart. After Neptune failed, Gamble and Huff founded their third company, Philadelphia International Records, and brought Paul with them. Going East was Billy Paul's first album published on the Philadelphia International Records label, and it made full use of the company's usual group of ace musicians and FSB at Sigma Sound Studios. Gamble and Huff, like they did on the previous album, aimed to strike a balance between Paul's jazz background and the funky soul that they thought would bring popular success. And Paul's song, Magic Carpet Ride, nearly made the charts.
Get mine. Why just come with me, little girl, on a magic carpet ride?
While the album peaked at number 42 on the Billboard Soul list and number 197 on the mainstream chart. With each record, Gamble and Huff got closer to capturing the sound they wanted for Billy Paul, which they did with the 1972 album, 360 Degrees of Billy Paul, and the song, To Me and Mrs. Jones. Both the album and the song were commercially and critically acclaimed.
6:30, and no one knows she'll be there.
To Me and Mrs. Jones was a number 1 smash for the final 3 weeks of 1972, selling 2 million copies platinum single status, and earned Paul a Grammy Award. The gold album and platinum single propelled the singer to the top of global charts, including the United Kingdom, where the single hit the top 20 of the UK singles chart. At the 15th Annual Grammy Awards in 1973, Paul earned the prize for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. The song was PIR's first number 1. In addition, the label was doing well with its other acts such as the OJs and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Paul recalled the environment at the label as like a family full of music. Paul's huge success was short-lived. The follow-up single, Am I Black Enough for You, failed to match the success of Mrs. Jones, with the song's Black Power political message being too much for mainstream radio's taste.
Black enough for you.
The decision to release this music as the follow-up to a crossover blockbuster hit sparked a lot of criticism. Finally, 360 Degrees of Billy Paul peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Soul list and 17 on the mainstream chart. Despite the disappointment of Am I Black Enough S-chart performance, there was no reason to suppose he couldn't recreate the album's success or achieve even higher heights. From 1974 to 1979, Paul recorded 6 charting songs on the Philadelphia International label, including Let's Make a Baby, which peaked at number 18 on the R&B chart, number 30 on the UK chart, and number 83 on the Billboard Hot 100.
We'll teach him the truth and understand the meaning of it all. So we can
In 1977, his single, Only the Strong Survive, reached number 33 on the UK chart and 68 on the R&B chart. In 1980, Paul's song, Sexual Therapy, peaked at number 80 on the R&B chart.
with your tender joy, soon as you leave me, I start to.
Wide Open was Paul's final album, published in 1988. Nike began advertising commercials starring track and field athlete Marion Jones, the face of Team USA, during the 2000 Summer Olympics. The Mrs. Jones commercial featured the athlete as a half-hidden DJ discussing themes like education and fair compensation for female athletes.
All right, suckers, ears up, minds open. This communique is from Mrs. Jones. My friends, enough is enough. The drug use, the spousal abuse, the violence, it's got to stop. Whether you want the responsibility or not, you are a role model. I know what Charles said, but you missed his point. He was calling for parents to get involved. He wasn't giving you a license to act a fool. We need more role models. The more, the better. Can you dig it?
The advertisement also included Paul's studio version of Me and Mrs. Jones. Paul noticed the advertisement and called his attorney, who filed a federal district court lawsuit in Los Angeles against the sportswear business and its advertising firm. Paul demanded $1 million in missed licensing payments, claiming that the corporation had misled him by failing to acquire his consent to use the music. A spokesperson for the ad agency called the decision to air the song without permission a very stupid mistake. Following the Nike lawsuit, Paul sued his old record company for unpaid royalties on his Hallmark song. He claimed that he had not received a financial statement from Philadelphia International Records in 27 years and sued Assorted Music owners Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff and Sony Music Entertainment for roughly $500,000. At the 2003 trial in a federal district court in Los Angeles, Assorted Music's attorney, Joseph E. Porter, argued that Paul was only owed about $27,000, explaining that while the company had mistakenly failed to collect proper foreign royalties on the record. Paul actually owed the company about $314,000 for the cost of recording, producing the 10 albums he made for Philadelphia International between 1971 and 1980. After less than an hour of deliberation, the jury concluded that Paul owed the corporation nothing. Instead, they gave him $500,000 in overdue royalties. In 2011, vocalist Charmaine Badi requested Paul to appear on her album Gospel and Soul for a rendition of Marvin Gaye's smash Ain't No Mountain High Enough. In 2014, at the age of 80, Paul recorded with Chico and the Gypsies on the album Chico and the Gypsies at International Friends. The following year, he was awarded the 2015 AMG Artist Music Guild Favorite Artist or Artist of the Year for his continuous career in music. Billy Paul, who released 15 albums over his career, passed of pancreatic cancer on April 24th, 2016 at the age of 81.
The brightest star of Philly soul has faded out. Catapulted to international fame with the Grammy-winning hit Me and Mrs. Jones, a confession of infidelity set to song, Billy Paul shot to the top of the US charts in 1972 with the salacious smash. Born as Paul Williams, he was among those who put the soul in the Philadelphia sound, the heart in rhythm and blues, and the fight in 60s civil rights music. Singing out from behind his trademark beard and glasses, Billy Paul collaborated with the greats of his era, from Charlie Parker to Miles Davis. Closing the curtain on 6 decades in the spotlight, the famous tenor died at his home Sunday night. He'd been recently diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He was 80 years old.
Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Billy Paul?